In this video, we are going to be comparing different number forms. Let's read the directions together. Compare the numbers and put a greater than, this symbol, less than, this symbol, or equal to, sign, this symbol. Use the place value chart to help you. It's really important that you're using the place value chart to put in the numbers that are represented in each of the number forms. So our first number, which is represented in red, will be written on top, and our second number, which is represented in green, will be written on the bottom. So we're looking here. We have 6 times 10,000. So 6 times 10,000 would go where in our place value chart? Well, because we know that it's times 10,000, it's going to be in the 10,000s place. So let's put a 6 in the 10,000s place. Next, we look at the next piece, 9 times 1,000. So 9 times 1,000 tells us that there's going to be a 9 in the thousands place. Then we have 4 times 10. That tells us that there's going to be a 4 in the tens place. And 2 times 1 tells us that there's going to be a 2 in the ones place. Now here's the question. What do we do with these 2 question marks? Well, these mean that there's not a number represented in the 100,000s or the hundreds. So we can actually just assume that these are both zeros. So when there's a 0 before our number starts, we can just ignore it. So you can either delete the question mark or just leave it there. I'm going to delete it. And then in the hundreds place, we can't just ignore it. We must put our placeholder of 0 there because we have to have a 0 in order to have numbers in the 10,000s and thousands. We can't just ignore it altogether because we have to have a placeholder. So that tells us that our number is 69,042. So I'm actually going to write that here too. This is 69,042. Now we're going to do the expanded form. So we have 60,000. What does that tell us? Well, in standard form, we can write this number in standard form by putting a 6 in the 10,000s place because we have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. So a 6 goes in the 10,000s. Then we look at 9,000. 9,000 tells us that the 9 goes in the ones, tens, hundreds, thousands place. Then we have 40. 40 tells us that the 4 goes in the ones, tens place. And the 2 by itself has to go in the ones. So again, we have these 2 question marks, which we know that we can ignore the one before the number because there's an infinite number of zeros before. And the hundreds place must get a 0 placeholder, which shows us that we can now compare. So we have 69,042. And we began comparing in the largest place. They have the same number of 10,000s. They both have 9,000s. They both have 0 hundreds. They both have 4 tens. And they both have 2 twos. So that tells us that they are equal. So I'm going to write my equal sign in between them. How do you know which number is larger? I know that is larger because, well, we know that neither is larger because they both have the same values in the same places, which shows that they are equivalent. Go ahead and pause the video and make sure that you have that written in your slides. Now we're going to do another problem similar to the one that we just did. All right, so this time we have word form and unit form. So we're going to write 473,000 in our first line on our place value chart and 400 7 tens and 3 ones on our second line in our place value chart. Okay, let's begin. 473. So what I like to do is I like to write in my place value chart this number. 473,000. So you have to think, what is the most important word here? You might think it's hundred, but it's actually thousand. Thousand tells us that everything before this is going to be in the thousands. So we're actually not talking about 400, but 400,000. So we need to put a 4 in the hundred thousands. Then we're going to put 73,000. So 70,000 would go in the 10,000s. We have 473, but that's all before the thousands comma. When we say thousand, we put a comma, and there's nothing else after that. So what happens to the hundreds, tens, and ones? They all get placeholders. So we're going to put zeros in the hundreds, tens, and ones. So in order for this to be 473,000, we need 3 zeros. Now, in green over here, we have 4 hundreds, 7 tens, and 3 ones. So our 4 goes in the hundreds place. In the hundreds place, we're going to put 4. Then 7 tens. So in the tens place, we're going to put 7. And in the ones place, we're going to put 3 ones. Now, these 3 question marks can either be ignored or you can delete them. So which is larger? Is it 473,000 or 473? You need to put a greater than, less than, or equal to sign right here. Then, how do you know which number is larger? I know that 473,000 is larger, so you can type in the number 473,000 there, because, well, they have the same digits. But how do we know that 473,000 is larger? Well, let's compare the 4s. 400,000 is way different than 400. Man, if I had $400,000, I could buy a house, a nice house. But if I had $400, I could buy a nice bike. So let's write that. I know that 473,000 is larger because 400,000 is much larger than 400s. Great job. I hope this helped. Go ahead and pause the video so that you can write all of this on your slide. Then go to the next problem. You will do this problem independently and compare unit form and expanded notation. Make sure you write your sign and explain how you know. The 4th problem you will also do independently. Make sure you write your numbers in your place value chart. Put the symbol when you're comparing expanded form and word form. and then explain how you know. Happy learning!